right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, or should say good evening. Welcome to another edition of the award-winning high school and college sports show, Voice of Reason. Today, Voice of Reason is coming to you from the International House Theater on 37th and Chestnut. Presented by Lightbox Film Center, among the sponsors of tonight's festivities, is tonight the movie premiere of the Baker League, home to some of the most violent athletes in the history of the city of brotherly love. Other leagues will also be honored tonight, along with the Hank Gathers League and the Daniel Rum Classic. Of course, myself, Voice of Reason, who announces the last 6 years at the Daniel Rum Classic, most likely coming back to LaSalle University this year. Getting that opportunity to go back should be a lot of fun. One thing we're definitely looking forward to doing is having interviews with the blast from the past. Some of the biggest names, again, of the Baker League are here, from Joey Crawford, the longtime NBA official. Mo Howard is here. Gene Banks is likely supposed to make an appearance. I want to thank our good friend Tony Paris for allowing us to broadcast today's Baker League movie premiere. And really, this is the Summer League movie premieres. We're about to step inside to the theater and watch some great memories of a lifetime. Some of the biggest names, again, as mentioned, Bill Baggett is here, the father of Kevin Baggett, the longtime player in the Baker League. Again, all the biggest names. Charles Monroe is here, and certainly many more. So stay tuned again. We have a great edition of the Baker League movie premiere presented by our good friend Tony Paris on another edition of the award-winning high school and college sports show, Voice of Reason. I love this job, I know. Right here inside the Independence, or should say inside the International House Theater, talking with one of my favorite Big Five players of all time and one of the premier Baker players. As you all know, we just saw the premiere of the Baker League, not just the Baker League, but the Philadelphia Basketball League. The L-Train himself, Lionel Simmons, and considered one of the greatest players in Philadelphia history. Lionel, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Doing good. Doing well. Just glad to be out to participate in a really good event, really good movie.
Yeah, the history behind what we all saw, guys like you and myself who were a part of this documentary. When you think of something like the Baker League, what did the Baker League and Sunny Hill League and all those other leagues mean to people like you?
The Sunny Hill League was a pioneer in terms of developing young players through academics, through competition, through the Summer League. Had a chance to play against professionals and give you a chance to see where your level of competition was at, and a lot of guys was able to benefit from the Sunny Hill League.
Tell everybody, if you don't mind, what you're doing these days. I know you own a restaurant. We see you a lot in your South Philly restaurant. I myself and Charles Monroe, who's here tonight of the All City Classic, we're doing the fish fry in your place. What have you been doing really since that, or I guess besides that?
Just having a good time.
That's what you always do, and I've known you a long way. And what was the best part about being in Philadelphia and playing basketball in this city?
Just fortunate. There's a lot of a rich tradition, a lot of great players. I was just fortunate to have great teachers and be a part of a great history in Philadelphia. And
you played with Doug Overton, probably the greatest backcourt in LaSalle history. And of course, you were coached by one of my good friends, Speedy Morris. What was that like?
One of the legendary coaches, great teacher. I had a lot of great teachers, and he was right up there with the best of them in terms of high school basketball, and I benefited from his teachings.
Well, we know you're in a hurry like myself. I want to get dinner just like you do. Lionel Simmons, the L-Train, we appreciate you stopping by here on Voice of Reason. Always good to see you, and we will catch up with you.
Thanks a lot.
Lionel Simmons again on another edition of Voice of Reason. I'm Jake Schwartz here at the International House Theater at the University of Pennsylvania. Audio. And back here at the International House Theater, two of my favorite basketball players that I've known. Actually, not just, I guess, in the past, but in the present nowadays. The legendary Nate Blackwell from Temple University, and, of course, the backcourt mate of John Lucas, the University of Maryland, my good friend, Mo Howard. Gentlemen, it's so good to see both of you again, as always. And, we'll start with you, Nate. You were having some health issues a couple months ago. How are you feeling these days?
I'm feeling a lot better, God willing. I've been blessed with some medicine that's helping me right now, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm getting ready to try to come back out there and shoot some jump shots.
The Baker League, which was one of the premier leagues in professional basketball for summer basketball, what was it like being a part of this league, and what did it do for you, and how did it instill you going into the later years of your life?
Well, it's ironic that you got me standing here with Mo Howard.
I was just about to say.
Truly, this was my idol coming up. You know,
Yes.
I grew up idolizing Mo Howard. He knew nothing about me. I was a little kid in South Philly.
Yes.
And I happened to be watching a college game that featured Maryland against UCLA. And my dad kept telling me, there's a guy out there, Mo Howard, he's from Philly. And I start watching, and next thing you know, man, I was a Mo Howard nut after that.
Well,
I came down to Baker League and watched him and come up to the coach's camp and worked with him, and he's my guy.
And a lot of people were fans of him. I remember Mike Mayock from NFL Films said because of Mo Howard, he would take the train to the Narberth station and actually watch you play at the Narberth Playgrounds. You were one of the biggest names, by the way, ever to come out of the Narberth League. Besides that, what other great leagues besides the 16th and Susquehanna, what did those leagues, including the Baker League, mean to guys like you, Mo?
I never played in those leagues.
Oh, really? No. But I thought you were in the Narberth League. Somebody told me you were.
Well, it was a Narberth League.
Yes.
But
you were in the Baker League.
And the Sunny Hill League and in the Baker League.
Yes. What did that mean to you? So I apologize for what...
I grew up watching this stuff. You know, Teddy Blunt and Bill Baggett and Tom Trooper Washington. I mean, there were just so many men that we watched as a young kid growing up, and you hope that one day you would have a chance to play against them, or at least in the same gym that they did.
The two of you combined have probably become, I would say there's got to be at least 3,000 points between really the two of you.
2000.
But you had a chance not just to play, Nate, but to coach alongside the great John Chaney. What was that? What was it to you? What was the best moment that you knew you were going to be the Philadelphia Star?
Well, I never viewed myself that way. What I did know was I had an opportunity to play for one of the greatest coaches in history. And then after I played and I had the opportunity to play in the NBA and I came back, he gave me an opportunity to sit alongside of him and learn his craft. And I tried to absorb as much as I could from a great man, a great teacher, and truly a father figure to me. And it was one of the greatest experiences ever.
And tell everybody what you're doing these days.
Oh, right now, just like you said, I'm just getting my health back. I'm getting ready to do some public speaking. Hopefully I'm going to start getting into some of these schools and teaching to some of the kids, talking about some of the issues that I had and other professional athletes have had with drugs and other things, and just a lifestyle, and learning, making sure that they understand that there's two sides to being popular and famous, and that they don't fall for any of these traps.
Sure. And Mo Howard, what are you doing these days? We know we see you a lot with your two sons, Ashley and Kai. What has been the best part about, besides being a basketball guru that you are, what have you instilled on your son, Ashley? Of course, your son winning a national title at Villanova. Your youngest, of course, played for me at the Shipley School, and I'm always used to seeing you behind the scenes. So whenever I found out, oh my God, that's Mo Howard, I was the biggest fan of him growing up.
Well, I just tried to instill in my sons what my father instilled with me. Be honest, work hard, do the best you can. Don't have the police calling me.
No, I wouldn't do that. I won't do that.
No, I'm just saying, it's just basic tenets of human kindness. Did
I mention how great you look, by the way, every time I see you? I mean, like I said, what was that feeling, I guess, that moment for you, I guess, going from the leagues that you played in to then becoming a father and then really passing the torch to your sons? Did you feel like the tradition sort of continues in that family?
There was never any...
No?
No, there was never any... Like, my sons, they like to play basketball.
Yes, they do.
I would take them around, and they would, seem to enjoy it. And I never really, until they told me that they wanted to be good at it, I never really pushed them, And sometimes I think I was their worst critic, but I've always been their biggest fan.
Well, yeah,
the thing that I most respect my sons for is how they treat other people.
Yeah, I don't think your son thinks highly of me at all, by the way.
Which
and
one?
he's been, I told Ashley, you know what? And I know Ashley Howard can hear this, but he treated me badly. No.
Yeah.
Well, Mo Howard, as always, and Nate Blackwell, we appreciate stopping by. Both always a pleasure to see you. And this documentary certainly shows that Philadelphia still really is the number one city in basketball.
Yeah, we're very, very proud of our tradition.
Yes. Mo Howard, Nate Blackwell, always a pleasure. Tim Perry, can we bring you in for a minute for a quick interview?
Let's go.
All right, Tim Perry. Perry is here. We're going to go right from the gate. Tim Perry, you're a native, of course, of the New Jersey area. What was it to you to come over the bridge when you were growing up to play in a league like the Sunny Hill League?
It was a great experience. They had a lot of good players, and the players are better than the players in my hometown. So everything was elevated. So, and plus there was a lot of trash talking. So I had to try to bring my A game, you know.
And you transitioned your way from, of course, from high school to Temple, where you played alongside a Hall of Famer like John J. Lewis Lloyd, can we bring you in? Can we bring in Black Magic for a second as well? We are going to be, you know what, can you say that one more time?
Black Magic!
You know what, and it just sounds better to say that. Lewis Lloyd, what was the best part growing up here in the streets of Philadelphia, or basically here in the city of Philadelphia?
First of all, God is the greatest.
Yes, he is.
Tim Perry was one of my young boys.
We know that.
That played the greatest defense ever.
I know that.
And played ball for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We were actually getting to that, and then we had to bring you in, and we were actually, I was telling his story about how it transpired playing for a Hall of Fame coach like John Chaney to playing for the Philadelphia 76ers, and you yourself playing basketball, both high school, college, and then, of course, to the Houston Rockets. So the two of you combined have had great basketball careers.
Yes, we have. But don't get it twisted. I played a little bit with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I also played with the Golden State Warriors.
I didn't know that either.
Now you know.
Yes, I do.
So now I played with Bernard King.
Yes.
At Golden State, World Be Free.
We know that.
Michael Ray Richardson.
Probably one of the greatest.
You didn't know that. Larry Keenan. Come on, okay. Mike Gale, Philadelphia legend.
Well, let's talk about let's talk about the history of your past. You, again, as mentioned, from the day you stepped foot in high school in Philadelphia, even as a young kid, what is there that one moment that you will never forget playing here in this city?
The one moment
I know there's a lot of them.
The one moment I'll never forget was when them bullets, they were shooting at me, and I was running.
Okay.
Saved my life, and I survived. That's the moment that I remember that took me to another level, because once I ducked them, I was doing the right thing, trying to play in the Sunny Hill, trying to play in the Baker League, trying to get to the pros. That saved my life.
Well, we know that you were a great basketball player in your day. And what do you remember the most about a guy like Tim Perry?
A guy like Tim Perry, he's the ultimate professional. Anybody that makes the NBA is an ultimate professional. It comes from hard work, going to school when you was in college, and doing the right thing on the court and off the court, and that's what it's all about, and thanking God first.
And now, Tim, you have passed that torch on to your son, Timmy Jr., playing a year over at the Phelps, but of course having a great career at Cherry Hill East. He's going to play the next stage of his life. How proud of you as a father are you?
I'm super happy, and I'm happy that he picked direct.
You know, I did a lot of good stories on your son, by the way.
Oh, you did? Thank you. I appreciate it, too.
You know that I did, though. Remember, you're talking to the one and the only.
I appreciate that.
Well, how thankful are you as a father?
I'm happy. You know, I let Timmy find his own way, you know. He was tall, and in the beginning he liked basketball, but he didn't love it.
Yes. He didn't like to talk to me much because he was very quiet. What school, again, as you mentioned, I know where he's going, but why don't you tell the world here at Voice of Reason where Timmy will be playing next year?
Timmy will be playing for the Drexel Dragons.
And he deserves every second of it. And what's the thing you're looking forward to about the relationship that he'll have for a guy like Zach Spiker?
I think they have a great relationship. Zach is a running gun guy. He gives the big guys a chance to develop. Also, and by his junior, senior year, he can be shooting threes. So that's all you want, though, you know?
Well, from a guy who basically came over the bridge at Cherry Hill to a guy who pretty much could say he was a part of Philadelphia, Tim Perry and Lewis Lloyd, along with Nate Blackwell and Mo Howard, we appreciate stopping by. We'll be back after this again for the International Theater here on the University of Pennsylvania campus. All right, back here again at the International House Theater. Always a pleasure to be talking with one of my favorite active coaches here at the NCAA. But he's an alumnus of the Sunny Hill Basketball League. He's probably one of my closest friends in the entire universe. And I also want to congratulate him, and that gentleman right there, who, by the way, is, of course, Chris Clark of Temple, who's another alumnus of the Sunny Hill League that was here today, my good friend Ashley Howard. Ash, it's so good to see you, as always.
Voice, always a pleasure, man.
You know, like I said, that we have such a great history between the two of us. We actually go back to when I was playing for the John Chaney Sunny Hill camp, and I remember playing against you in the championship game. You had a little bit of a dispute with one of your players. We're not going to mention what words were said of confrontations, but is there any particular moments, because you had a heck of a background. I actually talked to your old coach, Woody Burke, when he was at Bonner, when you were playing in your days at Bonner. Really, during the summer, you were always pretty active in the basketball circuit. You're still active in the basketball circuit, whether you're coaching at Villanova or going behind the scenes. Is there one particular moment that made you, what was the standout moment for you in your life? Because I know there's a lot of them.
The standout moment for me in my life was when Coach Bruiser Flint gave me an opportunity to be a student assistant coach.
We know that.
After my playing career was cut short. And that contribution to me and the valuable lessons that he taught me about leadership, about the value of education, about the value of family, and taking care of your own is something that has stayed with me throughout my career in coaching. The fact that Coach Flint was a product of the Sunny Hill Baker League family, and he thought enough of me because of my association through my family in the league to provide an opportunity for me to start my coaching career is something that I'll be grateful for forever.
Yeah, and I had a great chat with your father, and as you all know, Mo Howard, the great player out of St. Joe's Prep, had a great playing career in college at the University of Maryland with John Lucas, and then I asked him what his thoughts were to what he's passing. Do you feel like he really passed the torch along to both yourself and, I've known your brother for years too, Kai Howard?
Well, what my father did was he always taught us the importance of knowing our history. He always taught us the importance of respecting the game and understanding that, everybody makes their contributions. And though everybody's contributions aren't the same, everybody's status is the same in regards to the game of basketball. As long as you appreciate the history and the tradition and the culture of basketball. So that's what we're doing here tonight, just paying respect to the history and the tradition of Philadelphia basketball through the contributions that so many people made through the Charles Baker League.
Now, I don't really like to bring up, of course, the current status of what you're doing now, because we know where you are at Villanova Basketball, because we're not really supposed to mention this on radio. Of course, I could probably get sued anyway, but then again, I'm the voice. I never get sued. We know that you are coaching at Villanova Basketball. You have certainly graduated from the rankings of the Baker League, the Sunny Hill League, from your days at Drexel. I remember when you were going around in between jobs coaching, and I've been probably teasing you for many years, but I did it out of love.
What you doing? Are you coming by trains?
Y'all going to trains now? No, I got wifey with me. We about to go grab something to eat and then head up.
Yeah.
All right.
What is the best part about this run, going from Delaware or Drexel to Xavier and now arriving at where you grew up in Philadelphia? What is the best part about that? The now life.
The opportunity to continue to impact the lives of young people.
You have done, yes, and we know that you've done that. And there were a lot of kids that were actually here tonight. I had a chat with a parent. I'm not going to name who the person was that was here. She mentioned to me that she wanted her son to understand. And this video, do you feel like that it's impacted those who've never actually been to the Baker League or the Sunny Hill League or any of those types of leagues? Do you feel like that's going to be an impact on these kids who are here tonight?
I hope so. I hope that everything that they learned from watching the video today shows them that there's a history that was in place well before them, and hopefully it gives them a sense of pride of understanding that they represent the future of the wonderful tradition of Philadelphia basketball.
And the future is certainly bright for Mr. Ashley Howard. We also want to congratulate you. August, that man's going to be a Mr. Ashley Howard. We congratulate you, my friend. We always enjoy seeing you, Ash. Always a pleasure. I think you and I, like I said, the history, 17 years, my friend. It's good to see you as always, and we'll definitely see you, of course, down the road, the recruiting circuit.
Absolutely, voice.
All right, Ashley Howard again, the Villanova University assistant coach, and of course a man who is an alumnus of the Sunny Hill League. Jake Schwartz for another edition of Voice of Reason, the award-winning high school and college sports show in the tri-state area.
We were just down there.
All right, here we go again. The International House Theater here at 37th and Chestnut. Jake Schwartz for the award-winning high school college sports show Voice of Reason. It is my pleasure to bring in one of the men really responsible for putting this thing together. He is the man, I should say, the founding nephew of the Charles Baker League, which was again home to some of the most violent basketball players in Philadelphia, which is what really made this the mecca of basketball, and I believe it's still right here in Philadelphia. My good friend Joe Parham. Joe, good to see you, my friend.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes, you know that, like I said, we have such a great history again, as mentioned, together, and I've known you really I've known about you from your days playing alongside Alvin Williams, who, of course, attended Germantown Academy. Your thoughts really on tonight? Just talk about, again, the crowd that we had tonight, 2 NCAA active coaches, Fran Dunphy. Well, we're not going to mention names, but unfortunately, I just kind of that slipped out of my mouth, Fran Dunphy. But to have like Joe Crawford and Jeff Clark, who are active NBA and NCAA refs, your thoughts on just the turnout?
Well, everybody that showed up in here tonight had something to do with the league itself.
Yeah, they did.
There hasn't been a Baker League since 1996. The Baker League I remember playing. And when you talk about the championship, one of the coaches that you were interviewing,
that's right,
was the ball boy on our team.
That was
Ashley.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Ashley Howard, who really has blossomed his way and graduated from the ranks of, I guess, really running different types of camps. I remember when I first really started, I guess, playing competitive basketball in 2005. I was a junior in high school, and my mom and dad sent me to the John Chaney Sunny Hill camp, where I ended up actually the first week winning the award of sportsmanship. And John actually came up to me and then actually put his arms around me, and he actually tried to choke me as a joke. And my mom actually still has that picture. But the thing I remember the most was Ashley. Really it was really a thrill, because I didn't know the guy at the time, and now there he is winning a national championship for Villanova. But just my point is, it's just that these are the types of people who have had that type of impact. And let's talk about the guy who really had the impact. Your uncle, T.P. Parham. We saw him in a lot of the videos. Boy, that guy, he loves making fun of people, doesn't he?
Well, he's a lighthearted guy.
Oh yeah. I'm sure he is. No.
You know Mr. Hill, Coach Chaney.
Yes.
Rest in peace to
Those
Claude.
of you who are wondering, Sonny Hill.
Yeah, Sonny Hill.
The great Sonny Hill.
Yes. The great John Chaney.
The great John Chaney. And the late Claude Gross, who was probably a tremendous person. But, like I said, I see you around a lot outside of basketball, where you played alongside guys like Alvin Williams and John Haynes from Germantown Friends, and just the names. I actually remember the first time I met you was when I started working the Pro-Am League out in Haverford College, and you played alongside with those guys, including Sean Colson and Katina. Well, you look 30 years younger. I don't care what anybody says. But your thoughts really, again, as mentioned, doing something like this. And do you feel like this could be something for years to come that we could put together?
Well, I mean, Al started already with the Academy Hoops League.
Yeah.
Sean started already with the workouts. That was John Harnett, one of the guys who he started, right?
Yeah,
all those guys, Rasheed Wallace. I mean, all those guys that played in the Haverford Pro-Am, they were young guys. I don't think they got a chance to play in the Baker League, but the Baker League was the example that they saw.
No, but I feel like, when we profiled the Baker League, a league that, like you said, hasn't really been going on. They're talking about this is a league that ended almost 25 years ago, if not longer, and then it really paved the way for the Sonny Hill League. And your partner, Tony Paris, the director, who put on another phenomenal film. I remember, of course, a year ago being at the 85 or 80, I think it was the 86 premiere of the 86 team at Merle Dobbins, and you and I were a part of that. But the thing I remember the most was now you look at the present with the Chosen League and the Danny Rumpf League and all the leagues all around Philadelphia. Even the young kids that came here tonight, you feel like that they need to see this type of history. I mean, do you feel like this is coming a long way since the Baker League?
Well, I mean, just the fact that those guys have these successful leagues.
Yes,
they learn how to do it from that. Some of it was out of necessity. Other parts of it, it was they just wanted to start something to help the community. Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, you got to find stuff for guys to do. kids to do, and basketball is the best way.
Absolutely.
That's how we meet. It's through basketball.
That's how we've known each other, I think.
I mean, even indirectly through hoops. You know what I mean? It's a lot. So I mean, I appreciate you coming and all them guys. I mean, spread the word.
Joe,
it's going to be on Comcast.
Well, you know that, like I said, I would do anything for you. You know I go to the end of the year. Joe Parham, as always, we appreciate you stopping by.
My man.
Good to see you, as always, my friend, the great Joe Parham, again, as mentioned, putting together another great event. Of course, his uncle, the great T.P. Parham, and the Charles Baker League. Joe, we appreciate you stopping by. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Have a nice one.
All right, Joe Parham again on another edition of Voice of Reason. Hopefully we'll be back with more right after this from the International House Theater on 37th and Chestnut. And for our final man of the night again here at the International House Philadelphia, Jake Schwartz again for Voice of Reason. Man, it is such a thrill to talk to you again, the great Tony Paris, not just a guy who has done a phenomenal job as a director of films, but I consider him a very good and personal friend of mine. We go back to the days of the ABA when we were playing alongside the great Darryl. We don't mention Darryl Gladden's name on it. We'll let that. I think we'll let that one fly, though, if I may say. Tony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Hey,
I really appreciate
come on. I've of course been at your last one in the reunion of the 1986 Merle Dobbins team. We got some great interviews there. What do you think people learned here tonight when they came here to the International House?
Well, it was great for them to learn about the history of Philadelphia basketball. The founders of the Baker League, Sonny Hill, John Chaney, Hal Lear, and T. Parham. They set the foundation for Philadelphia basketball on 25th and Diamond, at the Mall and Recreation Center,
And to a lot of people, it just kind of to a lot of people, it kind of seems like they're able to, I guess, sort of carry on the tradition. We'll get to that tradition in a few minutes, but when I first really saw this video, I was just taking a look at just some of the great names that came out of Charles Baker or Sonny Hill, and I had a great conversation with a lot of alums like Mo Howard and Nate Blackwell, and of course the great Lionel Simmons, and it's a shame Doug Overton wasn't here because it would have been a perfect interview to talk to, because those two together, Simmons and Overton, both played for the great Speedy Morris and had a great success at LaSalle. And I feel like, they're just some of the many names. In fact, I was very impressed, not just the Philadelphia type of basketball, but what your commentary, because as everybody knows, Tony Paris has the right as a director to also narrate. He's not just the director, folks. He's also the narrator, if I may say so myself, though.
Yes.
But the thing that I was impressed with the most was you did it like a survey on Philadelphia versus New York. You profiled the best players of New York. You profiled the best players of Philadelphia. What do you think people learned about that?
I hope they learned that the basketball players in Philadelphia are just as good, if not better, than the New York players.
And you're a New Yorker.
Yeah, and I'm a New Yorker. I'm from New York.
But you were born in New York City.
Yes.
You played basketball in New York City. Was there great talent back when you were growing up?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Like Bernard King was a good example.
Bernard King.
You had Chris Mullin. You had Mark Jackson. You had. Why do you still feel like Philadelphia basketball is better than New York?
Well, because of the talent that comes out of Philadelphia.
I love the talent. I'm just going to go on record saying I love Philadelphia basketball.
Right. For one, Wilt Chamberlain's the greatest of all time.
We know that.
Right out of Philly.
Absolutely.
Earl Monroe was one of the great.
Black Jesus himself.
Black Jesus himself. He was one of the greatest of all time.
I don't think we can ever disagree with any of the stuff that you said, but you can never sell yourself short on the New York basketball, because you've got EBC, you've got Rucker Park, you've got Madison Square Garden Arena. I remember about a year and a half ago had a nice chat with the longtime scout Howard Garfinkel, who always said, like how Philadelphia goes to the Palestra, New York goes to the Garden. And I think a lot of people could probably agree with, you do have two of the most living, the living legends of arenas in the Garden and the Palestra. And that's really what we saw tonight in this premiere. Do you feel like people kind of were able to can capitalize off of this? Or
of course.
Blossom from this?
Of course.
And why do you say that?
Yeah, because the tradition of basketball in Philadelphia, it's rich. It's rich in basketball tradition. And from this point on, the young people know where basketball started, where the foundation started, how all the legends and the pioneers started playing basketball, how they developed basketball in Philadelphia. And hopefully, we bridge the gap with the young people. And, hopefully they carry this tradition on, which they're doing now. Like Shub and Raheem Thompson, Mike Morak.
Charles Monroe, yeah.
Charles Monroe, yeah.
So you got the All-City Classic, and you've got, like you said, you've got that. You've got the Danny Rum Classic, which you and I both participate in. Of course, I'm the announcer. You're one of the coaches who lends a hand. Last year, you finished just one game short. Hopefully, this is the year for your team. But like you said, I mean, Mike Morak and Raheem Thompson, and I mean, even like the out, I guess you could say behind the scenes, like Lewis Leonard is starting to really blossom as far as a guy who's trying to run his own camp. And this summer, Lynn Greer and Leonard Stewart are going to run a exposure camp for colleges. But this just goes to show you what Philadelphia basketball has become in the last probably 50 years or so. Really, a lot of people say that the Baker League kind of like impacted how we run basketball in the summertime.
That's right. Not only did it impact basketball in the summertime in Philadelphia, it impacted basketball throughout the country.
Really?
All over the world.
I would never have seen that. Do you think like the Rucker Park tournaments were kind of like with the Bakery sort of like kind of had an impact on that? Would you say that?
Of course it did. Of course.
Well, I never realized that.
Yeah, because Philadelphia started with the pros first.
Yes, it did.
And the Rucker Park started with the kids and the youth in the community.
We know
and
that.
then they started with the pros. But, New York has great basketball players, some of the great basketball players in the world. And I think what people don't realize, there's more people in New York, so you have more players. Philly is a little smaller. They have the same talent, but it's just less talented. But they have some of the greatest talent ever in Philadelphia.
Now, we know that both of us are very hungry and want to get something to eat as soon as possible. Your thoughts really on, because now I've seen 2 films that you have created. Are there any more of these types of films on the horizon anytime soon? What is the latest on Tony Parris's projects?
Yes, the next project will be on Lloyd, Black Magic.
Really? Because he was a guest, and he was a big-time name as far as like Philadelphia basketball. Joe Parham, who I just had a few minutes ago, he was a big name of Philadelphia basketball. What was it like, I guess, moving here to Philadelphia, coming from a rich history in New York, and really, because we all know you're a quick learner. What was it like, I guess, learning the roots of what this city has brought? And again, I grew up in the suburbs, so it's kind of hard for me to understand Philadelphia basketball. Being in basketball for 12 years, what has been the best part about the Philadelphia basketball that you've learned?
The stories. The stories are just phenomenal. Philadelphia is like a second home to me. Being here is like, to me, is like being in New York.
It kind of is a second home. You live over the bridge.
Right. So, just hearing the stories and going to all the games. I go to every game. I've been to all the tournaments.
You probably
the Hank Gathers League, the All-City Classic, the Gathers League, the Rankin Anderson Leagues when they were going on.
That was a great league. And then, of course, the Pro-Ams you've been a part. You've been a part of probably more Pro-Ams than anybody. And, I mean, for a guy, like I said, who really is from 2 hours north of here, you've really found a way to migrate your way here in the last few years. We also want to congratulate you. Recently married. Congratulations. How's that feeling?
Oh, it's wonderful. Got the best wife in the world.
Well, she is wonderful, and we certainly know that. This summer, again, as mentioned, you'll be back at the Danny Rumpf tournament. Is this the year for your team? What team will you be coaching? Will you be coaching the same team again?
I'll be coaching Cancer Who again.
Yes. And what is the goal for Cancer Who?
We're going to win this year. We're going to win this year.
You have a great name as far as that Cancer Who, because really, again, you're also a charity team. And what is Cancer Who?
Cancer Who is an organization that fights the cause of cancer, doing research and trying to prevent cancer. The people that really have problems with that disease.
Yep. I'll make a note, by the way, to the Morris twins as you try to knock them off for the championship. Tony Parris, as always, a wonderful job here at the International House Theater. I have to, at least, if I have to include anybody, as I mentioned, of course, you begged me to get you on, and I knew that there was one person I knew I wasn't going to forget. It had to be the director. 2 incredible videos so far, and we're really looking forward to that video of Black Magic. We thank you again so much for being here on Voice of Reason, and we will catch up with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Tony Parris again, among many guests here on another edition of Voice of Reason. We'll have our final thoughts right after this here at the International House Theater in Philadelphia, PA. All right, for another edition of Voice of Reason, Jake Schwartz for the high school and college award-winning sports show serving the tri-state area. This was the International House Theater, is the International House Theater. This was the Baker League movie premiere, and it was a phenomenal night. We want to thank again all of our guests that joined us. Black Magic himself, Lloyd. Maurice Howard, his son Ashley Howard, for joining us, the Villanova basketball assistant coach. We want to thank Nate Blackwell, Lionel Simmons, the L-Trade, Joe Parham, of course, the nephew, the founding nephew of the Baker Basketball League to T. Parham, and of course, my good friend Tony Paris were among the guests who joined us here tonight at the premiere of the Baker League movie premiere. Not just the premiere of the Baker League, but really what really inspired summer basketball in the Philadelphia area. We know that Philadelphia basketball is truly the premier of Mecca basketball. So from all of us again, thanks to all of our guests here at the International House Theater, from all of us again here in Philadelphia, this is Jake Schwartz for another edition of Voice of Reason. For more information on Voice of Reason events, visit us on Twitter at JacobSchwartz23. Follow us on YouTube at Voice of Reason. We'll see you again next time again here in another edition of Voice of Reason.